The hotel had already separated them. That is the detail that will not leave this case alone. Ashlee Robinson, known online as Ashlee Jenae, was in Zanzibar with the man who had just proposed to her. The trip had started with celebration, a birthday, a luxury resort, a new ring, a future that looked perfect from the outside. Then guests heard a conflict. Hotel staff stepped in. Joseph Isaac McCann was moved to another villa, several minutes away on foot. Ashlee stayed behind. Then came the gap. 2 to 3 hours later, she was found unresponsive. By the next day, she was gone. Authorities gave one explanation. Her family rejected it. McCann was questioned. His passport was withheld, and the investigation stayed open. But now, another question has moved to the center of the story. Who was Joe McCann before Zanzibar? Not the public version, not the polished crypto investor, not the man in luxury photos. The private timeline, the fast relationship, the business pressure. The past people are now searching. The relationship history, the silence after Ashlee died, and the one question Ashlee's family still wants answered. What happened after hotel staff separated them? Before we go deeper, like this video and subscribe to True Crime Greyson. This case has too many rumors, too much anger, and too many unsupported claims. Here, we will stay with the verified timeline, the public record, and the questions Ashlee's family still deserves answered.
My daughter Ashlee, she's no longer here with us, and we're trying to find out why.
On April 5th, influencer Ashlee Robinson, who goes by Ashlee Jenae on Instagram, was celebrating her 31st birthday in Zanzibar, Tanzania. She was on the vacation with her boyfriend of 1 year, who popped the question just 2 days before.
She was starting the next chapter of her life. She called us and FaceTimed us to share with us her travel.
Ashlee's mother says she never would have expected that less than a week later, her daughter would be dead. On April 8th, she says Ashlee called saying she and her fiance got into an argument and were moved to separate rooms. The next day, she received another call, this time from her fiance.
He told me that Ashlee did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital. I said, what happened when? And he told me it had been 11 hours prior.
Hours later, the luxury resort the couple was staying at called saying that Ashlee passed away. According to the hospital's medical report, Ashlee had an unidentified mark around her neck. They wrote, according to her husband, he found she hung herself on the door with several question marks.
Sometime Jill went back to the room with security, and that's how they found her.
Ashlee was also taken to a second hospital who listed her cause of death as cerebral hypoxia by strangulation and suffocation.
She's never done anything that would ever lead me to believe that she would do something to harm herself.
After a relationship conflict, people ask what came before. Was there tension already? Was the relationship moving too fast? Were there warning signs? Did the people around them see anything? Did Ashlee know enough about the man she had agreed to marry? Those questions are fair, but they must stay careful. There is no verified public record proving Joe McCann had a documented history of violence or abuse. Claims about his private relationships, his personality, his emotional control, or his ex-wife's private experience must not be stated as fact. That is where many online discussions become dangerous. A person's face does not prove guilt. A private past cannot be invented. A failed relationship does not prove violence. An old social media post from someone connected to him does not automatically reveal what happened behind closed doors. A business loss does not make someone a killer. And a family's suspicion, no matter how understandable, is not the same as a criminal charge. But none of that erases the verified facts. There was a conflict. Guests noticed it. Hotel staff separated the couple. Ashlee was found unresponsive a few hours later. McCann was questioned. His passport was withheld, while authorities waited for medical and forensic reports. Ashlee's family rejected the official explanation. Those facts are enough to make the case serious. They are enough to make the questions valid. The most important thing about Joe McCann's past is not an unverified allegation. It is the gap between the image and the unknown. The public knew him as a crypto investor. Ashlee's followers knew him as the man beside her in a luxury romance. Her family knew him as the man who had just proposed. But after her death, people began asking how much anyone truly knew. Public reporting suggests Ashlee and McCann appeared to start dating around late 2024. By April 2026, they were engaged in Tanzania. That is not a long time. A relationship can feel deep in a short period, especially when travel, money, romance, and attention move fast. But speed can hide things. People often show their best version early. They choose the image. They choose the gifts. They choose the trips. They choose the story they want the other person to believe. That does not mean the relationship was fake. It means the timeline moved quickly. And when a fast relationship ends in a sudden death abroad, every part of that timeline becomes important. How did they meet? Who reached out first? How quickly did the relationship become serious? What did Ashlee tell friends? What did she tell family? Did anyone close to her have concerns? Did anyone close to him know her well? Did the engagement surprise people? Did the relationship look stable before the trip? Did anyone know they were having problems? These questions matter because they help explain whether the conflict in Zanzibar was sudden or whether it was part of a larger pattern. What is verified is that Ashlee called her mother on April 8th and said she and McCann had argued. She also said hotel staff had moved them into separate rooms. That call matters more than any online theory. It comes from Ashlee's own final communication with her family. She told them there had been a fight. She told them the hotel had separated them. That was before the world knew there would be a case. That was before the headlines. That was before the social media investigation. That was before people began digging into McCann's past. Then, after that call, the timeline tightened. Guests had alerted staff about a disturbance described as a romantic conflict. Hotel staff moved McCann away. Ashlee remained in her room. 2 to 3 hours later, she was found unresponsive. If you want to understand why Joe McCann's past is being questioned, start there, not with rumors, not with insults, not with theories about his face or personality. Start with the hotel's decision. A luxury resort does not separate an engaged couple into different villas for no reason. That decision suggests the conflict reached a level where staff believed distance was needed. It does not prove a crime. It does not prove who was at fault. But it proves the situation was serious enough for intervention. That is the turning point. From that moment, the case becomes less about the public romance and more about safety. What did the guests hear? What did staff observe? Did Ashlee say she felt unsafe? Did McCann say anything to staff? Was the separation documented? Did anyone check on Ashlee after she was left alone? Did anyone check on McCann? Was security involved? Were cameras reviewed? Was the path between the villas monitored? Did anyone see movement after the separation? Those are the questions that matter. The word past, in this case, should not mean gossip. It should mean context. Joe McCann's public context includes wealth, crypto, risk, pressure, and a private personality. Fortune reported on his crypto career and business struggles. His firm had once attracted major attention, but later faced serious performance problems. That matters only in a limited way. Business pressure does not prove anything about Ashlee's death. Financial stress does not prove violence, but it may help explain why the public image around McCann was not as simple as it looked. Behind the luxury lifestyle, there may have been pressure. Behind the public success, there may have been professional strain. Behind the clean image, there were still unanswered questions. That is why investigators look at timelines, not appearances. They look at who was where, who said what changed, what was documented, what was hidden, what happened before the emergency, what happened after. And in this case, the part after Ashlee was found has raised as many questions as the part before. Ashlee's family has said they heard from McCann many hours after the incident. According to public reporting, he told them Ashlee was being taken to the hospital and was stable. Then the hotel later informed them she had died. For any parent, that sequence is devastating. It is not only that their daughter died, it is that they felt they did not receive clear, immediate answers from the person who was with her. That communication gap has become one of the emotional centers of the case. Why did it take so long for the family to hear? What exactly was McCann told at the hospital? What did he tell the family? What did he tell police? Did his account match the hotel's timeline? Did his account match medical records? Did his account match staff statements? Those questions do not declare guilt. They ask for clarity, and clarity is what the family says they still wants. McCann later released a public statement describing Ashlee's death as an incomprehensible tragedy. He wrote about grief. He described her in loving terms. He presented himself as someone devastated by the loss. That statement is part of the public record. It should be included, but it does not answer every timeline question. A statement of grief is not a full investigative account. It does not explain the argument. It does not explain the separation. It does not explain the 2 to 3 hour gap. It does not explain why the family felt left in the dark. It does not replace medical reports. It does not replace surveillance footage. It does not replace witness statements. It is one piece of the larger story. That is why Ashlee's family continued pushing for answers. Their concern is not just emotional. It is factual. They want to know what happened in the last hours. They want to know what evidence supports the official explanation. They want to know why the first story does not match the daughter they knew. They want to know what the hotel documented. They want to know what police found. They want to know why McCann's passport was withheld. They want to know what the forensic reports say. They want to know what happened after the hotel separated the couple. That is the heart of the case, and it is stronger than any rumor about McCann's past. Still, the public has kept digging. Some people focused on his previous marriage. Some focused on his age. Some focused on his business losses. Some focused on his relationship with Ashlee. Some focused on the speed of the proposal. Some focused on the alleged video circulating online. Some focused on social media posts from people who knew Ashlee. Some focused on McCann's silence before his statement. Some focused on whether he returned to social media. That is what the internet does. It searches for patterns. Sometimes it finds useful details. Sometimes it creates meaning where none exists. The job here is to separate the two. Verified facts can be used. Unverified claims must be labeled. Unsupported personal attacks should be removed. Victim blaming must be rejected. This case does not need to become a debate about Ashlee's personality, dating choices, or old opinions. No one deserves harm because of who they love, where they travel, or what they post online. Ashlee's death should not be used to shame her. It should be used to ask what happened. That is the only question that matters. Here's what the public can safely say about Joe McCann's past. He was older than Ashlee. He worked in crypto finance. He founded Asymmetric. He had been married before. He had a public business profile. His relationship with Ashlee appeared to move quickly. He proposed during the Tanzania trip. He was involved in a reported romantic conflict with Ashlee at Zanzibar. Hotel staff separated them. He was questioned after her death. His passport was withheld while the investigation continued. He later released a public statement expressing grief. He has not been charged. That is the safe record. Everything beyond that must be handled as question, not fact. For example, it is fair to ask whether investigators looked at his previous relationships. It is not fair to claim a history of abuse without verified evidence. It is fair to ask whether business pressure affected his emotional state. It is not fair to claim financial trouble caused violence. It is fair to ask whether Ashlee knew enough about his private life before getting engaged. It is not fair to claim she discovered a specific secret unless verified. It is fair to ask whether he returned to her villa after being separated. It is not fair to say he did, unless evidence confirms it. The strongest version of this video is not Joe McCann's dark past proves what happened. The strongest version is Joe McCann's public image looked polished. But after Ashlee died, every part of his private timeline came under scrutiny. But people keep asking, what do we know? What do we not know? What is confirmed? What remains hidden? What will the family discover? The most powerful moment remains the separation. Think about it from the hotel's side. Guests hear a conflict. Staff respond. The couple is separated. McCann is moved away. Ashlee stays in her room. Then, within hours, there is a medical emergency. That sequence demands documentation. There should be staff statements. There should be times. There should be records. There may be surveillance. There may be key access data. There may be medical logs. There may be emergency call records. There may be police notes. There may be a report explaining why separation was chosen and what happened after. If those records exist, Ashlee's family wants them. If they do not exist, that raises another question. How does a luxury resort handle a serious guest conflict without a detailed record? That question is fair. Again, it does not mean anyone committed a crime. It means the process matters. When a person dies after a resort intervention, the timeline should be exact. Not almost, not vague, exact. What time did guests report the disturbance? What time did staff respond? Who spoke to Ashlee? Who spoke to McCann? What was said? What time was McCann moved? Who escorted him? Where was he placed? Was he watched? What time was Ashlee found? Who found her? What condition was she in? When was medical help called? When was she moved? When was the family contacted? Who contacted them? What was said? Those questions form the real investigation, not rumors about his eyes, not claims about his ex-wife, not insults toward Ashlee. The timeline, the verified movement, the records, the evidence. That is how the truth gets closer. At this point in the public record, authorities in Zanzibar had said McCann was being questioned as a witness and had not been charged. Reuters reported that his passport was confiscated while authorities waited for medical and forensic reports. That detail is important because it shows the case was not treated as fully closed at that time, but it must be read correctly. A passport being withheld does not prove guilt. It shows authorities wanted him available while they continued reviewing the case. It is a serious detail, but it is not a conviction. This balance matters because people often want a clear villain right away. They want a name. They want a motive. They want a final answer. But active cases rarely work that cleanly. The family's doubts are real. The timeline questions are real. McCann's questioning is real. The passport issue is real. The lack of charges is also real. All of those facts must sit together. The public cannot erase one because another feels stronger. The official explanation has also been disputed by the family. Because this topic involves self-harm, it must be handled with care. There is no need to describe the method. There is no need to repeat graphic claims. There is no need to recreate the scene. The key point is this. Authorities gave a self-harm explanation. Ashlee's family does not believe that explanation fits who she was or what they knew. They want more evidence. They want clarity. They want medical and forensic answers. That is enough. The family's position became public because her loved ones spoke out strongly. They described Ashlee as full of life, loved, and excited about her future. Her friend also pushed back against online narratives attacking Ashlee's character. That matters. A victim's life should not become a trial of her personality. Ashlee's old posts should not become weapons against her. A woman can be outspoken and still deserve protection. A woman can have strong opinions and still deserve justice. A woman can choose her own relationship and still not be blamed for what happens to her. The case should not punish Ashlee after death. It should demand answers about death. The strongest emotional line is simple. She went to Zanzibar to celebrate life. Her family is now asking why she never came home. That is the story. The rest is evidence. The relationship speed adds tension, but it should not be overplayed. Public reporting says Ashlee and McCann appeared to have been together for months before the trip. They were not strangers, but they were not a couple with many years of shared history either. A proposal within that kind of timeline can feel romantic. It can also raise questions later if something goes wrong. Did Ashlee feel she knew him completely? Did her family know him well? Did her friends trust him? Did anyone have concerns? Were there signs of conflict before the trip? Did the birthday trip start as an attempt to heal problems? Did the proposal happen during a period of closeness or tension? These questions are fair if framed as questions. They become risky if framed as answers. The public record does not prove that Ashlee discovered a secret in Zanzibar. The public record does not prove that McCann had a violent past. The public record does not prove what caused the argument. The public record does not prove he returned to her room after separation. The public record does not prove criminal conduct. It proves a conflict, a separation, a death, questioning, passport withholding, and a family demanding answers. One part of McCann's background that is verified and relevant is his business life. McCann worked in a volatile industry. Crypto finance can create public success and private pressure quickly. The same world that gives people major status can also bring losses, scrutiny, investor concerns, and stress. Reports about asymmetric described both major backing and later fund troubles. This should be used carefully. McCann's public success story was more complicated than luxury photos suggested. By the time Ashlee died, his business world had faced public scrutiny, and his private life was now under a different kind of scrutiny. That creates a strong narrative without making an unsupported leap. The contrast is clear. A man known for calculated risk, a relationship moving fast, a luxury birthday trip, a proposal, a reported argument, a hotel separation, a death, a passport withheld, a public statement weeks later, a family still demanding answers. This is the structure. It moves from image to reality. It does not require false claims. The alleged circulating video can be mentioned if needed, but in this version, the focus is Joe McCann's past and timeline. If you include the video angle, keep it limited. A clip is circulated online, but it has not been officially verified by police, the hotel, or major reporting as Ashlee's final moments. Until its timing and context are confirmed, it should not be used as proof. The family's strongest demand is not for online speculation. It is for records. They want the footage. They want the reports. They want the timeline. They want the truth. The public can support that without spreading unverified claims. Now, consider what investigators likely need to answer. They need the full hotel timeline. They need staff interviews. They need guest statements. They need camera footage. They need room access records. They need hospital records. They need medical reports. They need forensic findings. They need McCann's statements. They need Ashlee's final phone activity. They need the call timeline with her family. They need any messages between Ashlee and McCann before the conflict. They need the reasons staff chose separation. They need to know what happened during the 2 to 3 hour gap. Those are the real investigative pillars. McCann's past may provide context, but the last hours will decide the case in public memory. The title says his past is darker than people think. A safer way to deliver that promise is to show that his public image was incomplete. The darkness is not a proven criminal history. The darkness is the unknown, the private gaps, the speed, the pressure, the unanswered timeline, the silence that followed, the family's distrust, the investigation that stayed open. That is stronger than gossip because it relies on documented uncertainty. A polished public image can hide many things, not necessarily crimes, but stress, conflict, past relationships, private arguments, business problems, emotional distance, things a new partner may not fully understand until a crisis hits. That is the human tension. Ashlee may have known parts of McCann's life. She may not have known others. The public does not know. What the public does know is that by April 8th, the relationship was in conflict serious enough for guests and hotel staff to get involved. That is the turning point. Everything before it is context. Everything after it is investigation. The official reports create another important point. McCann was not named as a suspect in the public reporting available. He was questioned as part of the investigation. No charges were filed. The man who entered the trip as Ashlee's fiancé left the public eye as the person everyone had questions about. That is true. It can say his passport was withheld while authorities continued reviewing the case. That is true. It can say her family did not accept the official explanation and wanted more answers. That is true. His past relationships and business life came under public scrutiny after her death, but credible reporting has not confirmed a history of violence. That is fair. It can say the case turns on the final hours in the reports. Who saw what? What did the cameras show? What did the medical findings say? Why did the family receive limited information? What did McCann tell police? Why was the passport held? What did Ashlee tell her mother? What did hotel staff write down? What did guests report? These questions keep the story moving. They also avoid defamation. At this point in the story, if you are still following the timeline, like this video and subscribe to True Crime Greyson. Cases like Ashlee's need pressure. But that pressure has to be built on facts, not recycled rumors. The family's grief is the emotional anchor. Ashlee's mother said she wanted to know why her daughter was gone. Her father spoke about the pain of learning information from far away. Her friends pushed back against attacks on Ashlee's character. That should shape the final act. Because once the online world starts investigating someone's past, it can lose sight of the victim. The focus should remain. Ashlee died. Her family disputes the explanation. The hotel separation happened. McCann was questioned. The investigation involved his passport being withheld. The final hours are not fully clear publicly. That is the core. Now address the past theme directly. Joe McCann's past matters only where it connects to the questions. His previous marriage may matter if investigators believe someone from his past can speak to his behavior, travel, personality, or timeline. But without verified public evidence, it should not be used to accuse him. His business background may matter because it shows the public image he carried and the pressure in his professional life. But it should not be used as motive without evidence. His age difference with Ashlee may matter because it suggests different life stages, power dynamics, and experience. But age difference does not prove harm. His relationship timeline with Ashlee may matter because it moved quickly. But quick romance does not prove danger. His silence after her death may matter because the family felt communication was poor. But grief and legal advice can shape silence. His later statement may matter because it is his public response, but it does not answer every question. That is the balanced analysis. Every point stays connected to evidence. The real mystery is not whether people online can find something strange about McCann. The real mystery is whether investigators can explain Ashlee's final hours in a way her family can trust. That is the question that matters. The final hours begin with a conflict. The conflict was serious enough for other guests to report. Hotel staff separated them. Then Ashlee was found unresponsive. What did Ashlee say during her final call? What did guests hear? What did staff see? Why was McCann moved away? Was he monitored after the separation? Was Ashlee checked on? Who entered or approached her villa? What did camera footage show? What did medical and forensic reports conclude? Why did the family get limited information? What did McCann say in his police interview? Why was his passport withheld? Did the final report answer the family's concerns? Will the public ever see the full timeline? Those questions are stronger than any direct accusation. Now closing with Ashlee. Ashlee Robinson was not a mystery object. She was a person. She had a family. She had friends. She had followers who cared. She had a life she was still building. She went to Zanzibar expecting celebration. Her family is now left demanding answers. The public can examine Joe McCann's past, his business world, his relationship timeline, his public statement, and the choices made after the hotel conflict. But the most important question remains the simplest. What happened after Ashlee was left alone in that villa? Until that question is answered with evidence, not rumor, the case will remain open in the minds of the people who loved her. If you want more fact-based updates on Ashlee Jenae's case, like this video, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to True Crime Greyson. We will keep following the timeline, the verified reports, and the family's demand for answers with care, accuracy, and respect for Ashlee's memory.